In the hushed halls of ancient wisdom, a profound truth whispers. When the seeker is ready, the universe reveals its secrets. Today, we unlock one of the most enigmatic keys to understanding existence itself, the 7 universal axioms. These aren't mere philosophical musings. They are the fundamental code upon which reality is built, threads woven into the very fabric of our being. This journey will unravel each axiom, revealing how they interlock to form the master blueprint of the cosmos. By the end, you won't just understand the universe. You'll understand yourself and wield the power to shape your own reality. What if everything you perceive, every sight, sound, and sensation, is merely a thought in a boundless mind? Imagine the solidity of the ground beneath your feet, the vibrant colors of a sunset, the intricate dance of life around you. All of it. A magnificent dream. This is the essence of the first universal axiom. The all is mind. The universe is mental. This isn't a metaphor. It's a statement about the fundamental nature of reality. To truly grasp this, we must question our deepest assumptions about what is real. We often perceive reality as a collection of solid, independent objects. Yet ancient traditions, from the Hindu concept of Vishnu's dream to the Hermetic teachings, have always hinted at a deeper mental substratum. What if the universe isn't physical at its core, but a vast, intricate thought form? This axiom isn't just spiritual esotericism. It resonates with the most cutting-edge discoveries in modern physics. Quantum mechanics, with its perplexing observations, is increasingly pointing towards a universe where consciousness plays a fundamental role. Consider the famous double-slit experiment. When tiny particles like electrons are observed, they behave differently than when they are not. They seem to know they are being watched, shifting from a wave-like state of probability to a defined particle. This isn't magic. It's a profound indication that observation, a function of consciousness, directly influences reality at its most fundamental level. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, famously stated, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." This means your thoughts aren't just confined to your head. They are active participants in the universal dream. Every intention, every belief, every deeply held thought acts like a ripple in this mental ocean, shaping the very experiences you encounter. But here's the unsettling truth. If our minds are co-creators of this reality, what happens when that creative power is fragmented, stolen, or misdirected? We live in an era of unprecedented distraction, where our attention, the very currency of our creative power, is constantly under siege. Social media feeds, endless notifications, ceaseless advertisements, they all vie for your mental energy, pulling you away from intentional creation and turning you into a passive consumer of prepackaged realities. This isn't accidental. In a universe where mind shapes matter, controlling where attention is directed is the ultimate form of power. Studies show that constant digital stimuli are literally rewiring our brains, shrinking our attention spans, and diminishing our capacity for deep focus. It's as if our mental muscle, meant for sculpting reality, is being atrophied by incessant, shallow engagement. Ancient wisdom warns against this. In Hermetic teachings, attention is the magnifying glass of consciousness. When focused, it can ignite fire, manifesting desires. When dispersed, it scatters our power, leaving us adrift in a sea of superficiality, reacting to stimuli rather than authoring our own experiences. Even more insidiously, these modern distractions subtly reprogram our subconscious mind. Everything we consume, every image, every sound, even if seemingly irrelevant, leaves a mark. This unconscious data accumulates, forming beliefs, fears, and behavioral patterns that operate beneath our conscious awareness, yet paradoxically shape our reality in profound ways. As we've seen, the subconscious is a powerful creator, and by passively absorbing unfiltered information, we allow external forces to dictate our internal blueprint, imposing their realities onto ours. Aldous Huxley, presciently, noted that distraction would be the most effective means of control over humanity. A mind scattered and unconsciously programmed cannot truly shape its own destiny. The key to regaining control of your reality lies in reclaiming your mind, and for that, nothing is more potent than meditation. If the first axiom teaches us that the mind is the matrix of creation, then a scattered mind loses its power to focus and intend. Meditation is the path to gather that dispersed attention, to focus it like a lens, until it becomes capable of igniting the flame of creation. In ancient practices, meditation is a return to the 0 point, the space where all possibilities exist, where the mind finds the stillness to become a true tool for conscious creation. It's a workout for the mind, strengthening your attention span. Every time a thought arises and you consciously set it aside, you regain a piece of control over your mental landscape. This consistent practice trains the mind to remain present, non-reactive, and ultimately, to direct its immense power. Beyond conscious control, meditation offers the most powerful access to the subconscious. It is this deep layer of mind, often unseen, that dictates much of what we manifest. If we wish to transform our reality, we must dive into these depths and dissolve the limiting beliefs, fears, and traumas that unconsciously block our creative flow. During meditation, as we enter states of deep relaxation, old patterns surface, allowing us to witness and transcend them. This process is crucial for aligning the conscious mind with the subconscious, transforming it into an ally in creating the reality we desire. The subconscious doesn't operate on reason. It operates on symbols, memories, and emotions. It's like a video camera, recording every moment, every feeling, every image from the earliest years of your life, imbuing each with an emotional interpretation. These recordings become invisible molds, shaping your worldview, your relationships, your perception of possibilities. If the subconscious is the great mold of our reality, then limiting beliefs are the deeply rooted ideas that generate restrictions on what we believe possible. Someone who unconsciously believes they aren't deserving of love, for instance, may unknowingly push away genuine affection, sabotaging relationships. These beliefs function like hidden programs, binding us to repetitive cycles, preventing our conscious intentions from fully manifesting. But here's the liberating truth. The subconscious can be reprogrammed. This requires patience, consistency, and repetition. It's like fertile soil that needs to be plowed, nurtured, and cared for. Positive affirmations, visualizations, and consistent meditative practices help uproot deeply embedded beliefs and plant new, empowering visions of self. If you seek abundance, you must identify and dissolve beliefs like, "I am not worthy," or "the world is scarce." Then, through affirmations and visualizations, you plant new seeds. "I am worthy of abundance. The universe is generous." Over time, this new programming begins to manifest, as the subconscious is trained to respond to what it repeatedly receives with emotion. Emotions are the fuel of the subconscious mind. They intensify the impression of beliefs, shaping reality with immense creative force. When you feel something deeply, that emotion becomes a message to the subconscious, which then replicates that experience in your life. If you want to cultivate confidence, for example, visualize yourself acting with security and determination. Feel this confidence flowing through your body as if it were already true. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It simply accepts the emotional impression and reflects it in your reality. By intentionally reprogramming your subconscious, cultivating self-awareness, and nurturing elevated emotions, you can access the full potential of your mind, transforming it from a territory of limitations into a creative ally, guiding you toward your highest purpose. The first universal axiom reveals, we are co-creators of our reality. Our mind is a temple, and what we create within this temple inevitably reflects in the external world. When we allow our attention to be fragmented, we cease to be the masters of this temple and become its servants. But by cultivating attention, practicing meditation, and diving into our subconscious, we reclaim the reins of creation. We choose what flourishes in our inner garden, and consequently, in the garden of the universe around us. As above, so below, as within, so without. This ancient truth from the Emerald Tablet isn't just a poetic phrase, it's an invitation to perceive the universe as a grand mirror. The microcosm and macrocosm aren't separate entities. They are two faces of the same universal reality. The same intelligence that spins galaxies forms the atoms within your body. This universal axiom, the axiom of reflection, holds that reality in all its dimensions is structured fractally. Everything in the universe is interconnected, and every fragment reflects the whole. Consider the cells in your body. Each carries the same genetic code as the entire organism, a complete blueprint. Or observe the spiral symmetry of a nautilus shell, echoing the shape of a spiral galaxy. The same mathematical sequences govern the growth of a flower's petals and the arms of galaxies. The universe breathes in repeating patterns, from the subatomic to the cosmic. This axiom teaches us, if you want to understand reality, first observe yourself. Your internal state, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, acts as a lens that shapes your perception of the external world. If you are at peace, you see peace. If you are in conflict, the world around you seems hostile. By transforming what is within, you transform what is outside. The barriers we perceive between ourselves and the world, or between humanity and the cosmos, are illusory. We are part of a greater whole, and what happens within us is in constant interaction with what happens outside. This concept resonates deeply with spiritual philosophy. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Just as the cosmos holds infinite potential, so too does the human being, a microcosm of the divine. Carl Jung explained that our personal unconscious reflects the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of images and archetypes that shape human experience. Our inner universe is dynamic and pulsating, and by exploring it, we not only discover ourselves, but connect with universal truths that are part of the entire cosmos. The spiritual journey, then, is a journey inward, a return to the universal center that exists within each of us. The axiom of reflection also bridges the apparent duality of spirit and matter. It reveals that the material world is a reflection of forces, ideas, and laws operating on the spiritual plane. Matter is merely a densification of spirit, an expression of subtle laws and energies. Think of spirit as the source, and matter as the image projected. Like a statue sculpted from an idea, the visible world is shaped by invisible forces. Any transformation we seek in matter must first begin on the spiritual plane, the level of our intentions, thoughts, and beliefs. Someone seeking prosperity, for example, understands that abundance begins in the spirit, through a mind that generates beliefs of self-worth, confidence, and gratitude. By nurturing these internal patterns, the external reflection inevitably manifests, even if gradually. The axiom of reflection isn't confined to grand cosmic patterns. It's profoundly practical. Our external world, our health, physical appearance, and even financial condition, is a direct mirror of our inner world. Our beliefs, intentions, and most powerfully, our daily habits. Every small act we repeat is an expression of our mindset, and when accumulated, it creates a tangible reality. Just as a stone dropped into a lake creates ripples that spread, our habits and thought patterns reverberate, shaping our body and our life. A disciplined mind, with clarity of purpose and goals, reflects this inner order in its body. Mental discipline translates into concrete actions, regular meal times, consistent physical exercise, practices that nourish the body. The body becomes an expression of this organized mind, healthy, strong, and balanced. Conversely, a disorganized mind, easily yielding to distractions and lacking priorities, tends to generate harmful habits. This mentality is reflected in a body showing signs of disorder, excess weight, chronic fatigue, health problems. When inner discipline is lacking, the tendency is to seek immediate comfort. Processed foods, excessive sedentary behavior, lack of sleep, resulting in long-term physical and emotional degeneration. As Aristotle wisely said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Each small action, repeated daily, has a profound impact. The one who dedicates a few minutes daily to self-care, learning, or physical exercise is planting seeds that, over time, create an abundant harvest. Deep transformation isn't the result of a single drastic event. It's the reflection of many small acts done with consistency and intention. A simple habit like drinking more water every day may seem insignificant in isolation, but over months, it can transform skin, energy, and overall health. This is the axiom of reflection in action. Small acts beginning in the microcosm of the mind manifest in daily life, creating profound changes in the macrocosm of life. To transform external results, whether in body, health, or relationships, it's necessary to start from the inside, from the mind and spirit. This is the power of the axiom of reflection. By changing our mindset and cultivating beliefs of discipline, self-care, and self-love, our daily habits begin to reflect these internal changes, and gradually, our external environment adjusts to this new internal configuration. Those with clarity of purpose and direction, who know what they want to build, develop habits that sustain that path. A strong body, a clear mind, and an organized life are reflections of a soul that has found a reason to exist and expresses it through every small action. When contemplating the axiom of reflection, we begin to understand that this ancient wisdom isn't limited to theoretical reflection. It offers a compass for living with more harmony, authenticity, and intention. Applying this principle to everyday life helps us align our inner world with the outer world, fostering clarity, emotional balance, and well-being. As the universe organizes itself into cycles and harmony, we too must seek this balance within ourselves. At its core, the universe is like a vibrant melody, and each of us is a note resonating in the harmony of the whole. What we are on the inside is manifested on the outside. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our daily habits are the invisible threads that weave the reality around us. The axiom of reflection reminds us that we are the sculptors of our own existence. The clay is our consciousness, and the chisel, our actions. And so, like a mirror that reflects the starry sky and the calm waters of a lake, life responds precisely to what we emanate from our soul. If we seek peace, let us cultivate serenity. If we desire strength, nourish it with discipline. And if we want love, let it blossom in us as a pure and unquenchable flame. Let us always remember, what we create within ourselves, the world will return to us in reflection. As above, so below, as within, so without. May every choice we make be a silent and intentional prayer, echoing in eternity and bringing forth the highest expression of our being. Imagine for a moment that everything around you, from the solid ground beneath your feet to the fleeting thoughts in your mind, is in constant motion, an eternal pulse of energy. Today, we delve into one of the universe's most enigmatic and powerful laws, the Axiom of Vibration, the third universal axiom, which declares that nothing is at rest, nothing is static, everything vibrates. This law, transcending cultures and traditions, is an essential key to understanding the hidden workings of the cosmos. From the ancient texts of Hermeticism to modern quantum physics, the idea that all is in constant vibration has been a fundamental pillar for those seeking to unlock the universe's mysteries. The Axiom of Vibration is one of the cornerstones of universal cosmology. It invites us to perceive that movement is the essence of all creation, and that there is no true solidity in anything we perceive as matter. At its deepest level, everything is made up of energy, and this energy is always in motion. This perception was revolutionary in ancient thought, going beyond what could be perceived with ordinary senses. The idea that everything vibrates is not exclusive to Hermeticism. It resonates across various spiritual traditions. In Hinduism and the Vedic texts, for example, Om is considered the primordial sound, the original vibration of creation that permeates the entire cosmos. Ancient Egyptians and Greeks believed that understanding this cosmic dance was essential for attaining harmony and wisdom, as they recognized that the universe was in a constant state of flow and transformation. Heraclitus, for instance, stated that everything flows, and that change is the only constant in life. For this axiom, vibration is the bridge between the visible and invisible, the physical and the metaphysical. This is why the axiom of vibration is fundamental for understanding the other universal axioms, as it allows us to grasp how matter, mind, and spirit connect. Matter is frozen light. This material world is essentially light vibrating at an extremely low frequency. Each form of matter and energy has a specific frequency, and this frequency determines the characteristics and reality of each object, being, or thought. Today, modern physics confirms what the ancients intuited. In quantum physics, it is understood that the material world is composed of atoms and subatomic particles that are in constant motion and vibration. This incessant movement creates the reality we perceive, although it is much more fluid and impermanent than our senses lead us to believe. For Einstein, who stated that everything in the universe is energy and vibration, the material world and energy were merely different forms of the same essence. This idea is illustrated by the famous equation E equals mc squared, where matter, m, and energy, E, are interchangeable. This principle resonates deeply with the universal view that everything is a vibrational manifestation of a single fundamental essence. In summary, the axiom of vibration is one of the cornerstones of universal cosmology, teaching us that the universe is not a collection of separate, inert objects, but a unified field of energy in constant motion. By recognizing this law, practitioners seek to align themselves with the highest vibrations, both in mind and spirit, thereby ascending toward a deeper understanding of the all. To understand the axiom of vibration in depth, it's essential to relate it to modern science, particularly to the field of quantum physics, which reveals how matter and energy, at their deepest core, are in constant motion and vibration. Quantum physics shows that what we perceive as solid matter is actually a dance of subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons, in constant motion. These elemental components form atoms, which vibrate incessantly at different frequencies. This vibration occurs even in the so-called rest state and is the foundation of all matter. This means that each object, whether a grain of sand or a star, has a specific vibrational frequency that, together with other particles and energies, composes its apparent form. Even atoms, once considered the smallest building blocks of existence, are composed of even smaller particles, such as quarks and gluons, which also vibrate constantly. This incessant movement suggests that the universe is a complex web of vibrations, and as the axiom of vibration proposes, nothing is truly at rest. All that exists is in constant flux. German physicist Werner Heisenberg introduced the uncertainty principle, stating that it is impossible to simultaneously determine both the position and velocity of a particle with precision. This revolutionary principle led scientists to understand that, on a quantum level, matter does not have a fixed form but oscillates and disappears in waves of possibilities, returning as particles. Here again, we see the essence of the universal concept. Matter is a temporary state, a momentary condensation of energy in constant vibration and transformation. These waves of possibilities are actually vibrations or fluctuations of energy that form the quantum field. When we observe the behavior of particles, we find that observation itself influences reality, altering the vibration and frequency of what is observed. This implies that the observer and the observed are interconnected in a vibrational field where the observer's intention and consciousness can directly impact the outcome. The axiom of vibration is thus closely linked to the axiom of consciousness, where mind and energy converge to create reality. If physical matter vibrates, thoughts and emotions, which are also forms of energy, follow the same principle. Neuroscientists and vibration researchers today study how brain frequencies change according to a person's mental state. When we are relaxed, our brain emits low-frequency waves known as alpha waves, while states of high mental activity and stress generate higher-frequency waves like beta waves. This mental vibration affects not only our body, but also the environment around us. Scientific studies indicate that thoughts and emotions generate electromagnetic fields that interact with other surrounding frequencies. Research conducted at the HeartMath Institute in California shows that the human heart, for example, emits an electromagnetic field much more powerful than the brain. This field vibrates according to the person's emotional state, influencing both their own body and the environment. These findings suggest that by adjusting our internal vibration through meditation, mental focus, or intention, we can alter not only our inner state but also the outer world. Quantum scientists, including figures like Niels Bohr and Max Planck, argue that the universe is a kind of hologram in which matter, energy, and consciousness are interconnected and form a single vast vibrational web. Thus, the reality we experience can be seen as a projection of these quantum vibrations. However, this apparent reality is malleable, responding to the intention and frequency of those who observe it. As Max Planck, the father of quantum theory and creator of the term quantum, stated, "Everything is vibration." This concept of a quantum matrix connects deeply with universalism, which suggests that the universe is a mental creation. Our external reality reflects internal vibrations, and therefore, by altering our internal vibrational frequency through spiritual practices, we can also change our perception and the very essence of reality. If we understand that matter and energy respond to vibration, we also realize that we can transform our reality by changing our internal vibrational frequency. In quantum physics, there is the concept of resonance, where a higher frequency can alter and elevate a lower frequency. This principle of resonance is the key to elevating our consciousness and tuning into higher frequencies, such as love, compassion, and harmony. According to the Axiom of Vibration, our highest and most harmonious thoughts and emotions align us with these purest cosmic vibrations, creating a state of unity with the All. By cultivating an elevated consciousness, we become, in a sense, resonant with universal energy, allowing us to transform our perception, health, and even the events in our lives. In universal thought, vibrations are not limited to physical matter alone. Thoughts and emotions are also considered forms of energy, each possessing its own vibrational frequency. As ancient sages taught, the universe, constantly vibrating, includes not only what we can see and touch, but also our inner states. Here, the axiom of vibration becomes profoundly practical. Understanding that our thoughts and emotions emit frequencies allows us to transform our reality by adjusting our inner vibration. Modern science has also investigated and acknowledged the vibrational capacity of thoughts. Neuroscientists have discovered that the brain emits electromagnetic waves corresponding to our thoughts and emotional states. These waves, which can be measured as alpha, beta, theta, and delta waves, represent different levels of brain activity. For example, alpha waves are associated with relaxation, while beta waves occur during moments of concentration and logical thinking. Each mental state vibrates at a different frequency, impacting both our body and the environment around us. A positive and constructive thought emits a different frequency than one rooted in fear or negativity. Psychologist David Hawkins developed a scale of consciousness that measures the frequency of various emotional and mental states. According to this scale, feelings such as peace, love, and joy have high vibrations, whereas emotions like hatred, resentment, and guilt vibrate at lower frequencies. Hawkins noted, "Love and peace vibrate at a frequency high enough to transform the environment and elevate one's consciousness." This principle speaks directly to the power of the mind to influence the vibrational field around it. Just like thoughts, emotions are also vibrations that impact both our being and the external world. Intense emotions like love, gratitude, and compassion are waves that emanate from our body and mind, influencing everything around us. When we feel anger, envy, or fear, we generate a denser, heavier frequency, negatively affecting both our bodies and our surroundings. A study conducted by the HeartMath Institute shows that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends around the body and can be detected meters away. This field vibrates according to our emotional state. Emotions such as love and appreciation create a harmonious and coherent vibration, whereas stress and anxiety produce a chaotic and dissonant field. The HeartMath Institute suggests that cultivating higher emotions balances not only our system, but also positively influences those around us. Thus, emotions are a kind of vibrational signature that we constantly emit. When we are in a state of joy or compassion, our vibrational field harmonizes with the universe's energy, creating an attractive field for experiences and people with similar vibrations. The axiom of vibration is closely connected to the famous law of attraction, almost as if the law of attraction derives from it. Understanding this is the key to obtaining what one desires. Cultivating high-frequency emotions such as love, gratitude, and compassion transforms our vibrational field and puts us in resonance with a more harmonious reality. When we choose elevated thoughts and self-care practices, our personal vibration aligns with the universe's higher vibrations. This is the universal principle of self-mastery. By mastering our internal vibrational field, we master our destiny. As within, so without. As we elevate our vibration, our perception expands and intuition sharpens. Intuition is a way to receive information beyond rational thought. In elevated vibrational states, the brain emits theta waves associated with deep relaxation and a consciousness level that facilitates intuitive insights. Spiritually, the more we raise our frequency, the more we align with the waves of the universe. Just as a radio station must be tuned to receive a specific signal, our mind and spirit must vibrate at a harmonious frequency to capture messages and intuitions from subtler planes. Practices like silent meditation and mindful presence help quiet the mental noise and stabilize internal frequency, creating space for intuition and clarity to emerge. These moments allow deep insights to arise spontaneously, revealing truths and directions that would otherwise remain hidden from conscious understanding. Love is widely recognized in various traditions as the highest frequency that a human can vibrate at. When we feel love, not conditional love or attachment, but universal, unconditional love, our cells, thoughts, and emotions vibrate in harmony with divine energy. This state of love is described by mystics and spiritual seekers as the experience of oneness, where the illusion of separation dissolves, and we feel unified with everything around us. Psychologist David Hawkins, in his study of consciousness levels, also emphasized that the vibration of love can transform an entire life experience. He defined love as a powerful frequency that dissolves fear and can literally heal both the person who emits it and the environment around them. From the universal perspective, when we vibrate in love, we unite our individual energy with the creative energy, bringing light and healing not only to ourselves, but also to the collective. One practice that raises our vibration to the level of love is the exercise of compassion. By directing feelings of love and understanding toward all beings, including ourselves, we break free from low-frequency patterns such as judgment and anger, creating a vibrational field where the divine can manifest. Forgiving, for example, is one of the quickest ways to elevate our vibration, as it releases dense emotional burdens and opens us to the frequency of love. At the peak of vibrational elevation, many report experiencing states of oneness. This is the moment when, through deep meditation, spiritual ecstasy, or practices like yoga and qigong, we connect to a cosmic vibration where the concept of self and other disappears. In universal philosophy, this experience is described as a return to the source, where the individual recognizes themselves as an inseparable part of the whole. This experience leads to profound peace, known as samadhi, the state of complete harmony with the universal vibrational flow. By raising our personal vibration, we contribute to the collective consciousness's vibrational elevation. This concept, known as the morphic field by Rupert Sheldrake, suggests that each individual's actions, emotions, and intentions impact the vibration of the whole. When we vibrate in peace and compassion, we are literally infusing these qualities into the collective field, influencing those around us and creating a more harmonious vibrational atmosphere. The role of elevating the collective vibration is a spiritual responsibility and an act of service as we become channels for divine energy on earth. As taught by mystics and sages, when we elevate our own frequency, we become a light that inspires and awakens others. Gandhi summarized this idea by saying, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Thus, our spiritual mission is to raise our personal vibration, and by doing so, we contribute to a more peaceful, loving, and connected world. Now that we understand we have the power to modify our reality by altering our own frequency, the next step is to learn how to apply this knowledge in practice. Here are a few simple methods. Mindful words and thoughts. Our words and thoughts shape the type of vibration we emit. Each negative thought, each critical word, emits a dense vibration that affects our physical and mental health, as well as our environment. Cultivating positive speech and a constructive mindset increases our vibration. Meditation practice. Meditation is a practice that allows us to adjust and elevate our personal vibration. This daily habit creates a mental and physical balance, harmonizing the vibrations of both body and mind. Connecting with nature. Nature possesses pure and balanced vibrations. Walking through a forest, lying on the sand, or diving into the ocean aligns our frequency with these natural energies. Many spiritual traditions recommend contact with nature as a means of healing and energetic balance. Diet and physical health. What we consume directly impacts our vibration. Natural foods like fresh fruits and vegetables carry a higher frequency than processed and industrialized products. Caring for our health through conscious eating keeps us in elevated states of frequency. By cultivating elevated thoughts, pure emotions, and a connection with the higher self, we vibrate in harmony with creation. This is the true essence of the spiritual journey, raising our vibration until it resonates with that of the cosmos, allowing us to experience unity, universal love, and connection with the all. May we remember in every thought and gesture that we are made of the same rhythm that moves the stars, of the same breath that gave life to the world. Imagine a cosmic dance where everything that exists, light and shadow, love and hate, inspiration and fear, is orchestrated by a single universal truth. Today, we will explore that truth, the Axiom of Polarity. Get ready to dive deeply into the fourth universal axiom and uncover how it shapes the visible and invisible universe around us. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. This statement forms the foundation of the Axiom of Polarity, the fourth universal axiom. This law reveals that everything that exists is interconnected through opposing poles, hot and cold, light and darkness, good and evil, positive and negative. These opposites are not enemies locked in eternal conflict. They are complementary, like two forces of the same current, coexisting to create balance and motion. This law is deeply rooted in the structure of the universe, but the Axiom of Polarity extends far beyond the physical realm. It operates in our thoughts, emotions, and daily experiences. For example, have you noticed how happiness can only be understood after experiencing sadness? These extremes are two sides of the same emotional coin, In the spiritual journey, the same principle applies. What we call light could not be identified without shadow. Opposites not only coexist, but depend on each other to make sense. The universe is a dance of complementary forces. Thus, understanding the axiom of polarity is essential to comprehending yourself and the world around you. It invites us to see reality not as a battlefield of extremes, but as a cosmic fabric where each polarity contributes to creation and universal harmony. Instead of choosing sides, we can learn to navigate between them, finding balance within the dual flow of the universe. And how do we navigate these poles? Through the axiom of vibration, but we'll get to that. The axiom of polarity is not merely an abstract theory. It permeates every aspect of our lives, shaping experiences, emotions, and even the simplest, most mundane processes. When preparing a meal, for instance, we apply heat to raw, cold food. This interaction between extremes, heat, positive, and cold, negative, results in something new, food ready to be consumed. Without this polarity, transformation could not occur. It is the balance of temperatures that ensures ideal cooking, neither too burned nor too raw. Polarity also reveals itself in social and political forces. In any political system, there are opposing ideas: conservatism and progressivism, right and left. While they may seem to conflict, these forces are complementary. Both are necessary to balance society, provoking change while ensuring stability. When one ideology dominates entirely, the system becomes rigid or chaotic. The interaction of extremes creates dialogue and, ideally, progress. In the end, everything is part of a single spectrum. The axiom of polarity manifests powerfully in the realm of human emotions, where we find not only contrasts, but an intricate relationship between opposites that shape our deepest feelings. Love is expansive. It dissolves barriers, connects us, and makes us feel aligned with something greater than ourselves. Fear, its opposite polarity, is contractive. It distances us, creates barriers, and drives actions based on instincts of protection or survival. These two polarities are the foundation of all creation. The ultimate alchemy is the transmutation from one polarity to the other, moving from extreme fear to unconditional love. This is the union with the divine. If love and fear are opposing forces that expand and contract our perception, hatred and passion are poles of energy manifesting in emotional intensity. Both carry fire. They are overwhelming feelings that either move us towards something or repel us with great force. Hatred arises as an intense response, a destructive force that rejects and seeks to eliminate the object of feeling. Passion, on the other hand, is equally intense but constructive. It drives us to create, connect, and explore. Both poles are interconnected. Human emotions are not static. They flow from one pole to the other, like a pendulum. The axiom of polarity teaches us that recognizing this oscillation is the first step toward transforming our emotional states. Polarity is expressed in the very essence of existence. Life can only be understood because death exists, and vice versa. The leaves of a tree fall in autumn to nourish the soil in winter, allowing life to be reborn in spring. These cycles are a constant reminder of the dance between opposing poles, occurring all the time. Even the simplest decisions we make reflect the axiom of polarity. Every choice implies renouncing an alternative. For example, by choosing to wake up early to meditate, you forego the comfort of sleeping longer. By opting for a spiritual path, you distance yourself from the superficiality of material life. These choices are the practical manifestation of opposites working together. There is no absolute right or wrong. only the dynamic balance between polarities that you choose to live. The foundation of all matter in the universe is the atom, and its very existence is a perfect manifestation of polarity. Protons, positive charge, are located in the atom's nucleus. They represent the centralizing force that holds the structure together. Electrons, negative charge, orbit around the nucleus. They are dynamic forces, generating motion and energy. These opposites interact to create stability. Without this electrical polarity, atoms could not form molecules, and matter as we know it would cease to exist. The force of attraction between protons and electrons is not merely functional, but is also responsible for structuring everything from the oxygen we breathe to the stars in the cosmos. In essence, everything that exists in the manifested universe is energy oscillating between two polarities through the axiom of vibration. The axiom of vibration determines where this energy falls on the spectrum and consequently its characteristics. One of the most fascinating examples of this polarity lies in electromagnetic waves, the foundation for technologies such as radio, television, the internet, and even our biological systems. Electromagnetic waves are vibrations that travel through space, carrying energy. They are composed of two fields oscillating in opposing poles. The electric field, positive and negative, and the magnetic field, north and south. These fields are in constant motion, creating an interaction that propels the wave forward. It is the polarity between these fields that allows energy to travel, carrying signals from one point to another, whether through light, heat, or data transmissions. The light we see is an electromagnetic wave, just like the radio signals or Wi-Fi we use daily. What differentiates one from the other is frequency and wavelength, both manifestations of the axiom of vibration, intrinsically connected to polarity. We live in a world connected by invisible networks, all based on electromagnetic waves. The duality between the electric and magnetic fields is the engine that sustains this entire technological infrastructure. When you use your smartphone or computer, electromagnetic signals are constantly being sent and received. Satellites orbiting Earth operate on the same principles to transmit radio, TV, and GPS signals. Even the electricity powering our devices is a direct manifestation of polarity, constantly alternating between positive and negative charges in what we call alternating current, AC. This continuous cycle enables the efficient transmission of energy. The axiom of polarity, in harmony with the axiom of vibration, is a powerful key to the conscious creation of reality. While polarity reveals the two extremes of a spectrum of possibilities, vibration is the driving force oscillating between those poles. When we understand how these axioms operate together, we gain the ability to shape our lives consciously, aligned with universal forces. Polarity presents the extremes, hot and cold, love and fear, light and shadow. Vibration, on the other hand, is the continuous movement between these extremes. Take temperature, for instance. Hot and cold are not isolated qualities. They are merely names we give to represent two opposite points on the same spectrum. By increasing or decreasing vibration, you can transform cold into heat and vice versa, effectively navigating along this spectrum. This logic can be applied to any situation. Imagine you are facing financial difficulties. Instead of focusing on what is lacking, complaining, and adopting a victim mindset, vibrating at the frequency of scarcity, the lower part of the spectrum, you can deliberately practice gratitude for what you already have and visualize prosperity as a present reality. By intentionally adjusting your vibration to the frequency of abundance, higher part of the spectrum, you naturally attract opportunities aligned with the pole of prosperity. Think this is nonsense? Give it a try. The alchemist's laboratory is their own mind. Conduct the experiments for yourself and then decide, based on your own experience, if this is not how reality truly works. As Heraclitus once said, struggle is the mother of all things. The dialectic between opposites creates movement, growth, and evolution. There is no progress without opposition, no evolution without challenge. Life, with all its polarities, is an expression of this eternal truth. The key to true wisdom lies in understanding the necessity of opposites while simultaneously transcending the idea of separation. Rather than rejecting or battling one pole, we must learn to integrate both sides within ourselves. The true alchemy of the soul is the ability to navigate these contrasts. When you face a challenge or a difficult situation, instead of focusing solely on the problem, the negative pole, you can choose to see the lesson or opportunity it presents, the positive pole. This transforms adversity into fertile ground for growth and learning. Every moment of our lives offers the opportunity to experience polarity. It is present in our relationships, our emotions, our choices, and even in the small, everyday decisions. However, true transformation occurs when we realize that we are not at the mercy of these opposites, but are co-creators of our reality. By becoming aware that everything has two polarities, we can use this as a tool to move toward growth. True freedom comes when we understand that we are more than the poles we experience. We are the consciousness behind the polarity, capable of choosing which side to align with, thus shaping our reality. What are you creating in your life today? Are you choosing to feed fear or love? In the dance of the universe, everything follows a rhythm. Everything oscillates. Everything pulses in perfect cycles. This is the fifth universal axiom, the Axiom of Rhythm, a universal principle that invites us to observe the movement of the tides, the cycle of the seasons, and even the ups and downs of our lives. Understanding this law is to find harmony amid chaos, balance amid change. Today, we will explore the secret behind this cosmic rhythm and how it manifests in every aspect of existence. Imagine the universe as an eternal dance, a continuous movement from one side to the other, a flow and ebb that never stops. This is rhythm, invisible yet present, subtle yet undeniable. The fifth universal axiom, known as the Axiom of Rhythm, teaches us that everything in the universe follows cycles. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and a sinking. This is in the affairs of the universe. Suns, worlds, men, animals, minds, energy, and matter. This law is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life of all things, and finally, in the mental states of man. Everything flows in and out, in a pendulum motion that governs existence. Just like the waves of the sea, there is a moment of advance and a moment of retreat. What rises will inevitably fall. What is born will one day dissolve. Just as there was an emanation at the beginning of everything, at some point the universe will stop expanding as it does now and begin the reverse motion, a compensation, until everything returns to how it was in the beginning. This is the breath of God. The axiom of rhythm also governs our lives. Notice how our days oscillate between light and darkness, our emotions between joy and sadness, our moments between action and rest. It is the rhythm of life. Everything begins and ends. Understanding the axiom of rhythm is recognizing that nothing is permanent, neither joy nor pain. Everything is in motion, everything is temporary. Just like the pendulum, the universe also seeks balance amid oscillations. This is the secret of universal harmony. On the vast stage of the universe, rhythm is the invisible maestro. Galaxies spin in cosmic spirals. Stars are born in stellar nurseries and die in magnificent explosions, returning to the dust of space. Each pulse of light, each movement of the celestial bodies follows a cycle. Nothing is stationary. Everything dances to the sound of a universal rhythm. Look at the sky. The sun rises and sets in a perfect cycle that sustains life on Earth. The phases of the moon influence the tides, fertility cycles, and even our emotions. The universe breathes. It expands and contracts as if the entire cosmos were alive. On Earth, the same principle manifests. The seasons follow one another in perfect harmony. Spring brings life, summer matures, autumn harvests, and winter rests. It is the eternal cycle of renewal. Just as in nature, everything in our existence is governed by cycles, flow and ebb, birth and death, inhalation and exhalation. Rhythm is the signature of the all. By observing it, we discover that change is not our enemy but part of life's dance. Understanding this principle aligns us with cosmic order, accepting that even the most powerful forces follow the compass of universal harmony. Rhythm is not just an external force, it is within us. Blood flows in our veins in a constant stream. The heart beats in a unique cadence, and our breathing follows the rhythm of life. Everything vibrates in tune with this law. And what about the tides of the ocean? They advance and retreat as if following a celestial choreography dictated by the moon. Just as the waters move in cycles, our thoughts and emotions also have their highs and lows. Nothing escapes the pendular motion of rhythm. Notice the hidden harmony in every aspect of nature. Rivers flow to the sea, but never chaotically. They follow the path shaped by gravity and terrain. Trees grow slowly in cycles of expansion and rest, respecting the seasons. Even the smallest insect deep in the forest lives in sync with its surroundings. The axiom of rhythm is a reminder that the universe is not chaotic, but deeply ordered. Behind every apparent disorder lies a precise dance, an oscillation that maintains the balance of the all. When we look closely, we see that chaos is merely rhythm we have yet to understand. When we align ourselves with natural cycles, we live in harmony with the universe. And just as the sun always rises after the darkest night, we can trust that after every fall there will be a rebirth. This is the eternal pulse of creation, a truth that echoes in every corner of the cosmos. In our lives, rhythm also silently governs every moment. From the instant we are born, we begin to dance with the cycles of existence. Childhood fills us with energy and discovery. Youth drives us with passion and ambition. Maturity brings us responsibility and reflection, and old age teaches us the wisdom of rest. Everything has its time, and each phase has its purpose. But rhythm is not only in the major transitions of life, it is present in our daily lives. Some days we are full of energy, inspired, ready to conquer the world. On others, we feel tired, introspective, needing silence and pause. This movement between highs and lows is a natural part of the pendulum that swings incessantly within us. Even our emotions obey this principle. There are moments of joy when the world seems to shine, followed by periods of sadness or restlessness. Resisting these oscillations is futile. The attempt to remain in a permanent state, whether of happiness or stability, is like trying to stop the flow of a river. The secret lies in observing without attachment. When you are in a moment of ascension, enjoy it, but know that it will end. When you are in a challenging period, remember that the tide always changes, and the light will return. As the Persian poet Rumi said, "This moment of difficulty too shall pass." It is the pendulum of life, swinging from one extreme to the other, but always returning to balance. The axiom of rhythm is not a punishment or a trap. It is a reminder that everything we experience is part of a greater dance. When we understand this, we stop fighting the tides and begin to navigate with them. This is the path to harmony. Think of emotions as an invisible pendulum that continuously swings between extremes. In one moment, we feel joy and enthusiasm, the lightness of a heart at peace. In the next, we may be overcome by sadness, anger, or discouragement. This oscillation is natural, part of the universal cycle that governs all existence. Most of us, however, try to resist this movement. When we are happy, we want to freeze the moment, clinging to the feeling as if we could keep it forever. But the pendulum must swing. It is propelled by the very force of the universe. The more we cling to the positive side, the more intensely it swings to the opposite. This is the trap. The greater the enthusiasm, the greater the potential for melancholy. On the other hand, when we are in negative emotional states, we often fight against them, seeking immediate escape. But just as the pendulum returns to the center, the challenging emotion will also pass. Resisting it is like trying to hold back the waves of the sea with your hands. The secret is to allow the movement to occur, without fighting, without attachment. Spiritual masters of all ages have taught us the same truth. Neutrality is key. The master is not a slave to the pendulum. He observes the motion, but is not carried away by it. Understanding this wisdom means learning to remain at the point of balance, at the center of the pendulum. This is where peace resides. When you feel a strong emotion, whether good or bad, pause. Observe the feeling as if you were a spectator. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Where is this pendulum moving? This simple practice of observation can break the cycle of automatic reaction and bring clarity. Imagine your emotions as the weather. One day it might be sunny and warm, the next rainy and cold. You don't control the weather, but you can decide how you will respond to it. The axiom of rhythm teaches us not to identify with the extremes. We are not the storm, nor the shining sun. We are the unchanging sky that observes the changes. Understanding the emotional pendulum is liberating. It is accepting that nothing lasts forever, neither moments of difficulty nor moments of ecstasy. This knowledge does not leave us indifferent, but makes us wiser. It allows us to enjoy the highs without losing ourselves in them, and to face the lows without being destroyed. At the center of the pendulum, we find balance, and with it, true freedom. At its core, the law of compensation manifests as the expression of universal balance. The term compensation carries the idea of counterbalancing, and this is precisely how it is employed. When it states, "The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left," rhythm compensates. It unveils the hidden dynamic governing all aspects of the universe, from the simplest physical experiences to the most complex manifestations of the spirit. In the cosmic dance of the universe, the law of compensation acts as the guardian of balance between opposites. Simply put, movement in one direction always finds its response in the opposite direction, and thus one movement compensates for the other. On the physical plane, this law is easily observed. The pendulum of a clock, for instance, swings in one direction and then returns with equal measure in the opposite direction. Similarly, the tides that rise during the full moon retreat with equal force during the waning moon. The seasons of the year, alternating between heat and cold, follow one another in perfect harmony, reflecting the natural oscillation of all cycles. Even the motion of a projectile launched upward with its initial force is equally compensated when gravity pulls it back to the ground. However, this law is not limited to the physical plane, but extends to all dimensions of human experience, including mental and emotional states. An individual who experiences more subtle pleasures is inevitably subject to equally subtle sufferings, while someone who lives the pains of life more intensely also experiences a deeper capacity for joy. Human beings, like all living creatures, are constantly oscillating between extremes of pleasure and suffering, and compensation is revealed in the direct relationship between them. There exists, therefore, a law governing the degree of joy and suffering of each being, and compensation is the scale that maintains order in the cosmos. The law of compensation, in its depth, teaches that to experience a certain degree of pleasure, the individual must first have experienced, at some point in their existence, a proportional degree of suffering. However, it reveals a more refined aspect of this compensation. Although the negative arises from the positive, this does not mean that pleasure must always be immediately paid for with corresponding suffering. On the contrary, the pleasure we experience may be part of a rhythmic movement, a compensatory return for past suffering, whether from our current incarnation or previous lives. This revelation sheds new light on the problem of suffering. Suffering is not a curse imposed upon us, but a natural part of the cycle, a movement of the pendulum that will inevitably be followed by compensation in the form of pleasure. Pain, like pleasure, is transient, and its compensation will come, even if in another form and at another time, restoring the lost harmony. The law of compensation applies tangibly to the lives of human beings. It is generally understood that anything we possess or lack, whether material goods, health, or emotional states, is paid for in some way. Nothing is given without something being taken away. Thus, the wealthy possess material abundance that the poor lack. But in return, they may be deprived of the simplicity and inner peace that the poor in their more modest lives may find on their journey. Material wealth is often accompanied by emotional or spiritual loss. The millionaire may live surrounded by luxury, but lack the appetite or health to fully enjoy their opulence. Meanwhile, the laborer with fewer material possessions finds pleasure in simple things, and the enjoyment of a humble meal may bring them more satisfaction than the wealthy person who lacks a healthy appetite. The law of compensation is an active, ever-present force, working tirelessly to restore the universe's balance. It is the principle that keeps the cosmic order, compelling the pendulum of life to swing back to the center. The compensatory movement may not be immediate, but it always aligns with life's natural rhythm. Through the experience of pleasure and pain, gain and loss, the human soul learns to navigate the cycles of existence, knowing that at the end of every movement, the scale will balance, restoring universal harmony. The axiom of rhythm cannot be stopped, but it can be understood and, with practice, mastered. When you realize that life is made of cycles, you can begin to prepare for its oscillations, avoiding being swept away by them. Wisdom lies in learning to surf the waves of rhythm rather than fighting against them. First, observe the cycle. Most people live without noticing the patterns in their own lives, yet rhythm leaves clear signs. When you start paying attention, you will see that your emotions, energy levels, and even external events follow a pattern. For instance, after days of intense productivity at work, you may notice mental and even physical fatigue. This is not weakness. It is the natural rhythm of your biological body seeking balance. Second, anticipate the movement. If you know that a phase of expansion will be followed by contraction, you can prepare for what's coming. In moments of joy, cultivate gratitude, but keep your feet on the ground, knowing that this state may pass. In moments of difficulty, remind yourself that it is temporary. The tide always changes. A powerful tool for handling intense oscillations of rhythm is conscious breathing. When you feel the pendulum swinging too strongly, pause. Breathe deeply. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Hold your breath for another 4 seconds. Exhale slowly, counting to 8. This simple exercise helps stabilize your mind and restore inner balance. Another practice is silence. Set aside a few minutes each day for meditation or simply for contemplation. In this state, you connect to the rhythm of the universe without becoming a slave to it. Above all, practice acceptance. Do not resist the oscillations. Accepting life's rhythm does not mean resigning yourself, but rather flowing with wisdom. When the pendulum swings, it is not out of control. It is merely obeying the laws that maintain the balance of the all. Remember, the rhythm never ceases. What truly matters, however, is how you choose to dance. Learn to listen to your inner cycles, the tides of your soul, and harmonize yourself with the universal flow. Ultimately, understanding and mastering the axiom of rhythm is the path to true freedom. Imagine an immense cosmic loom where every thread is interwoven with absolute precision, creating the grand tapestry of existence. Every event, every thought, every breath is a part of this masterful design. There are no loose threads, no accidents. Everything you have ever experienced, unexpected encounters, painful challenges, moments of ecstasy, all have an origin, a cause, and every cause has its effect. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is merely a name given to an unrecognized law. This is the axiom of cause and effect, the sixth universal axiom. This law is the principle governing the universal loom. When we grasp its depth, we realize that nothing in life is arbitrary. What we call luck or misfortune is, in fact, the effect of invisible causes we planted in the past, sometimes in this life, sometimes in other dimensions of our existence. Today, we will embark on this journey of discovery together. We will unveil the mysteries of the axiom of cause and effect and learn how it governs our reality. More importantly, we will learn how to master it so we can become architects of our own destiny. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is but a name for the law not recognized. This statement invites us to look at reality with heightened awareness, to recognize that behind the apparent chaos of the universe lies a sublime and flawless order. The axiom of cause and effect is the invisible foundation of all existence. It teaches us that every event we experience, from the greatest achievements to the most painful challenges, is the result of a chain of causes. Nothing just happens. Every effect we encounter is a direct reflection of causes, some visible, others hidden in the deepest planes of existence. But here lies the secret understood by initiates. There are different levels of causality. Most people operate on the physical plane, reacting to external causes, like leaves moved by the wind. They feel at the mercy of greater forces, prisoners of circumstances they believe are beyond their control. The true seeker, however, knows that the most powerful causes are not born on the physical plane, but on the mental plane. As the axiom teaches, the mind is the field of creation where the first seeds of every cause are planted. Our thoughts, intentions, and emotions are causal forces, shaping not only our actions, but also the experiences we attract. Consider this example. A word spoken in anger might seem like a momentary reaction, but it is the effect of a prior cause, a thought or feeling already vibrating within you. That word, in turn, generates new effects, a conflict, a rupture, or even an opportunity for learning. Thus, the chain of causality continues endlessly in all directions. What the axiom teaches us is that chance is simply the name we give to our ignorance of the law. When we understand this truth, a world of possibilities opens. We no longer need to be spectators of life, hit by the effects of causes we do not comprehend. We can become conscious creators, planting the seeds of the future we wish to harvest. This is the promise of the axiom of cause and effect, the freedom to transcend the role of victim and assume the role of master. Imagine rolling a die. When it lands on the table and shows a number, it might seem like it happened by chance, as if it were pure luck. But in truth, that's not how things work. Everything in the world happens for a reason. Think of the die. The number that appears depends on various factors: how you held the die, how much force you used to throw it, how it spun through the air, and even the surface it landed on. All these factors together decide which number will show. So it's not luck or misfortune. It's a set of causes that makes it happen. The word chance is often used when we do not know or cannot see all the reasons behind something. For example, when flipping a coin, it might land heads or tails. It seems random, but if we could observe exactly how the coin was flipped, the force applied, and even the wind in the air, we could predict which side would land face up. The axiom uses the example of a storm to illustrate this idea. For many, a sudden storm might seem fortuitous or random. However, the storm's formation follows precise meteorological laws. Conditions of pressure, temperature, humidity, and other factors align specifically to produce it. With knowledge of all these conditions, the storm could be predicted with accuracy. Thus, what seemed like chance is nothing more than a natural event guided by precise causes. The same applies to human life. Many consider success or failure to be matters of luck. However, every event in our lives is the effect of a cause, be it an action, a thought, or even a choice made long ago. Everything we do generates results, even if we cannot immediately see the consequences. Trying to understand the axiom of cause and effect solely through the movements of the physical plane is like looking at the tip of an iceberg and believing it to be the entire structure. It's a limited perspective. Universal wisdom transcends this view, revealing that causality operates simultaneously across multiple planes: mental, astral, and physical. To grasp the depth of this law, we must explore its manifestations in all these dimensions. Since the time of Sir Isaac Newton, the principle of causality has been a cornerstone of science. Newton's third law states, "For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction." This idea, though simple, profoundly echoes the universal principle. In the physical universe, no force, movement, or event occurs without a prior cause. When an apple falls from a tree, it is the effect of gravity. When a stone hits a lake, the ripples that form are the direct effect of the initial action. But modern physics has taken this concept even further. In quantum mechanics, we find that causality can operate in mysterious and seemingly paradoxical ways. Quantum entanglement, for instance, suggests that particles separated by vast distances can influence each other instantaneously, challenging our linear understanding of cause and effect. This raises the question, is there a deeper dimension where invisible causes operate beyond time and space? Universal wisdom would answer with a resounding yes. It has always known that causality transcends the physical world, manifesting on subtler levels of existence. The ancient sages have long emphasized that causality is not merely linear, but multidimensional. This means that the cause of an event on the physical plane may originate from a thought, intention, or emotion on the mental plane. True creation begins on the higher planes. What we see in the physical world is merely the delayed reflection of what has already been shaped on the mental and astral plane. For instance, a persistent thought of fear can create tension in the physical body, leading to illness. Conversely, thoughts of love and gratitude can foster states of well-being and health. The word karma comes from Sanskrit and literally means action. However, in a spiritual context, it refers to the totality of consequences generated by our actions, thoughts, and intentions. Every cause we create, whether consciously or unconsciously, leaves a mark on the fabric of the universe, and these marks eventually return to us as effects. Here lies the secret of karma. It is not just about what we do, but how we do it. The same action can generate different karmas depending on the intention behind it. For instance, helping someone with the desire to inflate one's ego creates one type of energy, while helping with genuine compassion creates another. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, "Action is inevitable, but the true sage acts without attachment to the fruits of their actions." The axiom of cause and effect and karma do not exist to imprison us, but to liberate us. When we understand their dynamics, we cease to be victims of fate and become masters of our reality. As Eliphas Levi once said, "He who knows the law does not complain of it. Instead, he uses it for his purpose." We live in a world where many feel at the mercy of circumstances. Most people believe they are victims of external forces, fate, luck, or misfortune. This perception creates a sense of powerlessness, an invisible prison where responsibility for one's destiny is handed over to something or someone outside oneself. But the axiom of cause and effect offers extraordinary liberation. It reveals that we are the creators, consciously or not, of everything we experience. The first step toward mastery is to take full responsibility for your life. This does not mean blaming yourself for the past, but understanding that, in some way, you were the cause of everything you have experienced, whether through thoughts, actions, or omissions. Everything in the universe operates according to the law. When we stop blaming the world and start looking within, we free ourselves from the role of the victim. We become aware that every choice, thought, and action has an impact on the world around us and on what we receive in return. The true master is one who not only reacts to circumstances, but consciously creates new conditions. They observe their choices and intentionally plant the seeds they wish to harvest. Imagine that your mind is a fertile field, and that every thought is a seed. Thoughts of fear, doubt, or resentment will produce bitter fruit. But thoughts of courage, love, and gratitude will yield a harvest of harmony and prosperity. The magician works on the mental plane before any other. The mind is the first motor. What we create in the mind inevitably manifests on the material plane. By mastering the mind, you master the cause. And by mastering the cause, you master the effect. Even the wisest of masters cannot escape the causes they themselves planted in the past. But instead of resisting unwanted effects, the master embraces them as precious lessons. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity to grow and align more closely with the law. The Buddha said, "What you are today is the result of your thoughts of yesterday. What you will be tomorrow is the result of your thoughts today." What distinguishes the master from the victim is not the absence of challenges, but how they face them. The master sees the effects in their life not as punishments or rewards, but as perfect reflections of their own actions and intentions. They understand that life is not happening to them, but through them. By mastering the axiom of cause and effect, you become free. Not a freedom that escapes the law, for that is impossible, but a freedom that arises from alignment with it. You become the conscious creator of your reality, a true alchemist who transforms every moment into an opportunity for evolution and self-mastery. As the axiom teaches, freedom lies in the understanding of the law. From this point, the question we must ask ourselves is, what seeds are we planting today? Are we creating the reality we desire, or are we perpetuating patterns that imprison us? The answer lies in your hands. Be the master. Imagine a tiny seed. It seems inert, almost insignificant, until it is placed in the soil. But something magical happens when the seed, which carries within it the masculine principle of potentiality, encounters the fertile soil, representing the feminine principle of nourishment and receptivity. Together, they initiate a process that transforms something seemingly simple into a majestic tree full of life and purpose. This natural phenomenon is a perfect manifestation of the axiom of gender, the seventh universal axiom. Just like the seed and the soil, everything in the universe, including our minds and spirits, depends on the interaction and balance between masculine and feminine energies to create, transform, and manifest. In this video, we will explore how this universal law applies to all aspects of existence, from the physical to the spiritual, revealing the secrets of how these two opposing yet complementary forces work together to sustain all creation. The axiom of gender is one of the most profound among the seven universal axioms. It transcends the common notion of masculine and feminine, connecting to a universal dynamic of polarities that permeates all creation. At the core of this law lies the understanding that everything in the universe contains two complementary principles, the masculine and the feminine. These do not merely refer to biological or societal aspects, but to archetypal forces that shape the workings of all existence. The masculine represents active, expansive, and projective energy. It is the creative impulse, the initiating will, the spark that sets movement into motion. It is like the ray of sunlight touching the earth, without which life could not germinate. The feminine symbolizes receptive, nurturing, and generative energy. It is the fertile soil that transforms a seed into a tree. It embodies introspection, intuition, and the ability to create from within. These forces are not oppositional in the sense of conflict, but complementary, like two halves of a whole that together create universal harmony. Masculine energy is not exclusive to men, just as feminine energy does not belong solely to women. These forces are universal, residing within all beings, and are in constant interplay within us. In the universal context, masculine energy is the active principle, movement, logic, direction, and creative force. It is the spark that transforms potential into reality. Without it, there is no action. Without action, there is no creation. But like every universal principle, masculine energy requires balance. When in harmony, it is like a flowing stream, moving mountains and fertilizing lands. When imbalanced, it can become a destructive tsunami. Masculine energy is often symbolized by the sun, the sword, or lightning. These archetypes represent its nature. Masculine energy brings discernment and reason, light and clarity, illuminating the path ahead. It provides the drive to overcome obstacles and face challenges with strength and courage. Like an arrow aimed at its target, it is the force that keeps us focused on our goals. This energy is associated with the left hemisphere of the brain, which governs logical reasoning, analysis, and strategy. When well channeled, it makes us achievers. In Carl Jung's analytical psychology, masculine energy appears in archetypes such as the warrior. With his courage and discipline, he reminds us that strength lies not only in the physical, but also in the determination to face challenges. The king. A symbol of leadership and integrity, he guides with wisdom and creates stability. The magician, who transforms knowledge into power, he represents logic and the curiosity of the masculine spirit. The lover, who directs passion to create and nurture meaningful connections. These archetypes are facets of the masculine that we must integrate in balance to access our full potential. When masculine energy loses its balance, the signs are clear. The individual seeks to dominate everything and everyone, believing their vision is the only correct one. This authoritarianism manifests in rigid attitudes, leaving no room for listening or adapting. This posture suffocates relationships, blocks creativity, and creates a constant atmosphere of tension. The desire to compete becomes an addiction. Everything turns into a battle to prove superiority, even when unnecessary. In excessive competitiveness, this mindset breeds isolation, transforming allies into rivals. Logic takes full control, silencing all emotions. This can lead to a sense of emptiness, as if one is constantly battling the world without understanding why. Conversely, when masculine energy is lacking, certain issues arise. The potential exists, but the force to realize it is absent. The individual feels incapable of acting, delaying decisions and responsibilities, leading to procrastination and apathy. Days pass without purpose. Life becomes a sequence of meaningless actions, resulting in frustration and a sense of futility. This leads to insecurity and passivity. A lack of confidence in one's power leads to dependence on others to make decisions. Instead of leading, the individual becomes a spectator in their own life. The person demonstrates fragility in the face of challenges. Masculine energy gives us the courage to face difficulties. Without it, even minor obstacles become insurmountable barriers. Masculine energy is the fire that warms and transforms. When balanced, it guides us with courage, clarity, and purpose. It is not merely a force that builds, but also one that protects, leads, and inspires. Cultivating it is an act of self-love, a recognition of the divine power that exists within each of us. Feminine energy is the receptive, fluid, and intuitive side of all things. It manifests in the right hemisphere of our brain and is deeply connected to feelings, delicacy, intuition, attention to detail, insights, receptivity, ancestral wisdom, compassion, patience, lightness, creativity, and art. This force is present in everyone, regardless of biological gender, as one of the fundamental poles of universal balance. While masculine energy acts like an arrow moving forward, feminine energy is the space that embraces, transforms, and gives meaning to action. In the universal context, feminine energy is the passive principle, but not in the sense of inertia. Passivity here means receptivity, the ability to absorb, nurture, and transform. It is the mystery, the intuition that connects us to the invisible, the force that helps us create bonds and feel the flow of life in its fullness. This energy is manifested in moments of pause, inner listening, and compassion. It is what allows us to understand without words, feel beyond reason, and create from nothing. One of the most evident examples of feminine energy in nature is the lunar cycle. The moon, with its phases of growth and decline, symbolizes the fluidity, receptivity, and transformation that characterize feminine energy. Just as the moon influences the tides, feminine energy has an invisible but profoundly impactful power that governs cycles and processes. During the growth from the new moon to the full moon, we see the ability to embrace and nurture. While in the decline from the waning moon to the new, we perceive the power of introspection and renewal. This cycle reflects the very essence of the feminine, to create, transform, and rest in perfect harmony with the natural rhythm. Jung identified in the collective unconscious a series of archetypes that represent aspects of feminine energy. The mother, nurturer, protector, source of life and security. This archetype represents the capacity to care for, nurture, and protect, both physically and emotionally. In nature, this is seen in animals caring for their young or in fertile soil that nourishes us. The maiden represents youth, potential, innocence, and curiosity. She is the creative energy and the beginning of new cycles. She symbolizes purity and enthusiasm for life, bringing a renewing energy. It is like spring, when everything blooms and new beginnings are possible. The crone, or wise woman, witch, represents introspection and the accumulated knowledge of life, which guides and illuminates with deep wisdom. Like the waning moon that brings quietude and moments of reflection. The queen. This archetype unites the power to lead with the heart, to nurture. She is just and compassionate, governing with wisdom and balance. She represents feminine energy at its peak. But just like masculine energy, feminine energy can also become imbalanced, manifesting in harmful ways, either in excess or deficiency. When feminine energy is in excess, we lose our center and become dominated by emotions, lacking the structure needed to handle challenges. Everything becomes too intense. Small problems are amplified, and there is a tendency to drown in feelings like sadness, anxiety, or fear. There is a lack of boundaries. Extreme receptivity leads to an inability to say no. People, ideas, and situations enter one's life indiscriminately, causing overload or victimization. The person feels trapped by circumstances, unable to take control, and starts blaming external factors for their situation. Conversely, when feminine energy is deficient, we lose connection with our creative and nurturing essence, leading to a disconnection from intuition. There is difficulty in listening to oneself or understanding what others feel. The person becomes rigid, distancing themselves from the natural flow of life. Ideas stop arising. The inner world feels barren, and the joy of creating or nurturing disappears. Without feminine energy, empathy fades, and the person may become distant and cold. When feminine energy is balanced, the benefits become evident in various aspects of life. There is greater empathy, the ability to listen and understand others without overburdening relationships with unrealistic expectations or emotional dependencies. There is a reconnection with intuition. The power of feminine energy lies in its ability to generate life, deeply connect with others, and create from nothing. Like Mother Earth, who generates and nurtures. When balanced, it is a source of wisdom, creativity, and inner peace, allowing for the flow of life and the ability to adapt to challenges with serenity and strength. Its true power lies in its softness and its ability to perceive and transform the world from within. The axiom of gender transcends humanity and permeates the entire universe. From the vast cosmic expanses to microscopic processes, it is the force governing creation and motion. To understand this law in its entirety, we must observe its manifestations in different areas of existence where the masculine, active, and feminine, receptive principles collaborate to create, transform, and sustain. The axiom of gender is not confined to the visible world or the physical plane. According to the axiom, it is a force that traverses all levels of existence, manifesting uniquely and complementarily across the three great planes: the physical, mental, and spiritual. Each plane reflects this dance between the masculine and feminine principles, demonstrating how the universe is governed by the harmony of polarities. In the plant kingdom, the interaction between masculine and feminine energies is essential for the perpetuation of life. Pollen, masculine, is carried by the wind or insects to the ovary of flowers, feminine, where fertilization occurs, resulting in fruits and seeds. Many animals exhibit mating rituals that reflect this dance of polarities. The male courts, masculine action, and the female chooses and nurtures, feminine receptivity, ensuring the continuation of the species. In the grand theater of existence, the relationship between the masculine and feminine principles is like a cosmic dance where each plays an indispensable role in creation. The masculine principle bears the responsibility of directing energy, acting as the initial force that awakens and activates the creative potential of the feminine principle. However, it is the feminine, in its essence, that performs the act of creation itself. This dynamic manifests across all planes of existence, whether in the physical, mental, or spiritual realms. The feminine is the matrix that transforms impulse into form, giving life to what was once only a possibility. And yet, neither can act alone. The masculine, no matter how powerful, is incapable of producing results without the receptive feminine. And the feminine, no matter how fertile, lacks the creative impulse provided by the masculine. This union is reflected in the very structure of life. In many forms of existence, both principles are integrated into a single being, coexisting as inseparable parts of a whole. This is why in all aspects of the organic world, we find the masculine within the feminine and the feminine within the masculine, like yin and yang dancing in eternal harmony. Within every human being, there is a sun and a moon, a king and a queen. When both dance in harmony, the soul blossoms. The balance between masculine and feminine energies within us is the secret to achieving harmony, creating a powerful magnetic field capable of attracting anything we desire into our lives. The ancient alchemists called this union the alchemical marriage, symbolizing the fusion of the active masculine and receptive feminine principles to create a whole and awakened being. This internal marriage is the key to transforming the ordinary self into an enlightened and fulfilled version of oneself. The alchemical marriage is not merely a metaphor, but a spiritual and psychological practice that refers to the process of integrating internal opposites. Masculine energy represents logic, action, and focus, while feminine energy symbolizes intuition, receptivity, and creativity. Together, they form the perfect unity, like the yin and yang in Taoism, where each force contains a bit of the other. Before achieving balance, it is essential to recognize which of these two energies do you perceive most strongly in your life. This reveals which internal energy is currently dominant. Now, let us explore some simple practices to help balance these energies within you. Dance and body movement. Dance is both a symbolic and physical practice that balances both energies. Dance freely, letting your body flow to the rhythm of the music, feminine. Then incorporate deliberate and rhythmic movements, masculine. Cultivate intuition and action. Integrate moments of introspection with concrete actions. Dedicate time to listen to your intuition, feminine, before acting, but plan your steps clearly, masculine, to manifest your intentions. Before starting a creative project, allow yourself to dream and visualize, then develop a structured plan to execute it. Work with internal archetypes. In the unconscious, the masculine and feminine principles can be seen as archetypes, such as the king and queen, or the warrior and the sage. Ask yourself which internal archetype needs to be strengthened. Visualize yourself embodying the qualities of that archetype in your daily life. The integration of these energies is not just a spiritual practice, but something that can be applied to your routine. Here's how to bring balance to different areas of life. At work, use your masculine energy to organize tasks and achieve goals, but trust your feminine energy to find creative and intuitive solutions. In relationships, allow the masculine to lead with courage and protection, while the feminine nurtures, understands, listens, and embraces. Healthy relationships reflect the balance between these energies. In spirituality, seek the divine with discipline and devotion, masculine, but also with surrender and trust, feminine. In esoteric traditions, the alchemical marriage is often represented by the union of archetypes, such as the marriage between the king and queen in medieval alchemy. This symbol reminds us that true union does not happen outside of us, but within. When we recognize that all polarities exist within our own soul, the union of the masculine and feminine is not the meeting of two opposing forces, but the fusion of what we already are. It is the moment when we cease being fragments and become the whole. We have reached the end of this journey through the 7 universal axioms, a dive into the depths of the ancient wisdom that governs all existence. These principles are not merely abstract concepts. They are practical tools capable of transforming how we see and interact with the world. From consciousness to gender, each axiom has shown us that everything is interconnected and that universal harmony is achieved when we live in alignment with these eternal truths. Now, the true journey begins within you. The universal axioms are not teachings confined to words. They must be lived, felt, and experienced. As students on the path of light, it is up to us to apply these principles daily, whether to harmonize the mind, balance emotions, or align our soul with the cosmic rhythm. Remember, the master key is now in your hands, awaiting the moment your consciousness decides to use it. May the wisdom of the ancients always guide you, and may you become the master of your own reality. But what if mastering these axioms unlocks not just your reality, but the ability to perceive a reality beyond anything we currently comprehend? A hidden layer of existence, a cosmic secret waiting to be unveiled by those who truly understand the dance.